Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Peter Akbar once again bringing up this video for you all. And 1 month back, Esther Dhanraj posted a video on her channel with the title Pious Fraud. So as I was going through the video, I noticed a few things which are of concern, and initially, I was writing replies or answers to her questions, but then as I was going through, I noticed a few things which I thought that I cannot club what I have noticed in her video along with my responses. So then I decided to make two separate videos. This is the first part of the video, and in this video, I am going to share with you the things that I have observed in her video. Now, this video is not about answers to her questions, but this is about something bigger than that. Answers are secondary, but I have noticed in her video things like misquoting the scholars. Number one, misquoting or misreading the scholars. Number two, plagiarism, which is a big problem in academics. Then the third one that I have noticed is putting words in the mouth of the scholar, or putting words in the mouths of the scholars which they have never said. No references were provided for the citations or the references that she gave. So these are of a concern that I have noticed in her video, and I'm going to this whole video will be on those observations that I have seen in her video. In my second part of the video, I'm going to come up with the answers to her questions. So let's go ahead and see what are those things that I have noticed in her video. The first one is that when I started watching the video, hardly 40 to 50 or 60 seconds, she quoted William Hartpole Leakey. I hope I am pronouncing his name correctly. William Edward Hartpole Leakey. This is the scholar she quoted, and while quoting this scholar, this is what she said.
But pious fraud is an integral part of Christianity right from the beginning of its history. In the words of William Edward Hartpole Leakey, the very famous Anglo-Irish historian, who said, Christianity floated into the Roman Empire on the wave of credulity that brought with it this long train of plagiarized superstitions and legends.
Now here you see in this video, she said plagiarized superstition, but actually when I saw the quote which was given in the video, it says Oriental superstition. Hartpole Leakey says Christianity floated into the Roman Empire on the wave of credulity that brought with it this long train of Oriental superstition and legends, but she reads it as plagiarized superstition. Now, what is the difference between Oriental superstition and plagiarized superstition? Now, when we look into the meanings of Oriental, Oriental means of relating to or situated in the Orient, or of relating to or coming from Asia, and especially Eastern Asia. Geographically, Israel belongs to Asian continent. So in the quote, it says Oriental superstitions, but she reads it as plagiarized superstition. Now, I explained to you what is Oriental, the meaning of the Oriental. Now let's look at what plagiarism means. Plagiarism, according to Merriam-Webster dictionary, this is what the dictionary, according to Merriam-Webster dictionary, this is what it says. Plagiarism means to steal and pass off the ideas or words of another person as one's own. Means a person taking the words of another scholar or another person and presenting it as if these words are their own. That is called plagiarism. And this could happen in articles, in videos, in many areas. So Northern Illinois University gives some examples of plagiarism. That is direct plagiarism. That is number one. Copying another writer's work with no attempt to acknowledge that the material was found in an external source. That is called direct plagiarism, where you are taking the material was found in external source, but you are not acknowledging that author or from where you have taken the material. The second one is direct patchwork plagiarism. That is copying material from several writers, rearranging the citations. This is second type of plagiarism. The third one is insufficient citation of quotes. That is incorporating another writer's words or phrases within a large paraphrase without quotation marks or citation. This is another type of plagiarism. Now wait a minute. You must be wondering that this person, he came up to refute Esther Dhanraj's Pious Fraud video, and why is he focusing more on this plagiarism? That's right. So it is obvious for you to reason that way, because I am going to highlight something from her video. Because though she read plagiarized superstition, throughout her video, I have noticed plagiarism. She was directly taking the words from other scholars and presenting them as her own. This is a big problem in the academics or research articles, not just academics, but in many other areas. Plagiarism is considered as fraud. So my argument, and with substantial proof, I am going to prove to you that Esther Dhanraj, trying to portray Christianity as a religion that committed fraud and forgery, she herself committed a big fraud. That is plagiarism. First of all, in the first point, I shared with you that she misreads a scholar. Instead of reading Oriental superstition, she reads plagiarized superstition. Now, since she used the word plagiarism, I am going to give numerous examples of plagiarism from her video. So here we go with the first instance. When we watch her video, at the timeline 5 minutes 10 seconds, this is what we read, or this is what she says.
But that is a whole different topic for another video. So moving on, by the 6th century, pious frauds of the church had been systematized and raised to the dignity of doctrines by taking advantage of the naivety and ignorance of the people.
Deceit. Now in this, the words specifically I have highlighted. Now here you can see the transcript of her video, and the words that she robbed from other writer is, there is this book by the name Forgery in Christianity by Joseph Willis, which he wrote in 1992. In that he said, to such an extent had the pious frauds of the theologians been thus early systematized and raised to the dignity of a regular doctrine. Now you compare. I have highlighted the statement, and also I have given her statement. You see the blue letters, and compare it with the highlighted verses, highlighted verse in the given portion from the book Forgery in Christianity. She robs these exact words, the words like pious frauds of the, instead of theologians, she changed it to church and continued with it, that is, had been systematized and raised to the dignity of doctrines. Here you see clearly she committing plagiarism, that is, she is taking words of another scholar. Now, did she mention the scholar's name? No, she didn't. Did she say that according to so-and-so person, this is what he said? No. She cunningly taken his words and presenting as though they are her words. This is plagiarism number one. Now, moving on to the second plagiarism, second account of plagiarism. So here is the video. At the timeline, 7 minutes 18 seconds in her video, this is what she said.
In adherence to the newly discovered law, Josiah ordered a thorough purification of the cult and abolition of all forms of polytheism from the Jewish religion and his kingdom. Now, this was something that was undertaken for the very first time in the history of Israel. Surprisingly, the stipulations also contained sanctions for territorial conquest and for the cleansing of the territory's inhabitants, which is basically ethnic cleansing. The now purified temple was declared to be the only legitimate religious institution, and Yahweh of Jerusalem the only deity whose worship would be permitted. All other gods and goddesses that were being worshipped until then were scrapped.
Now you see in this whole statement or whole paragraph, the blue letters that I have highlighted, you compare those blue letters with the original source. Where did she take these words from? Yes, there is a research article that is written by A.J. Dhanraj with the title, the research article's title is The Lying Pen of the Scribes. Now, this article was published by Brill in the volume number 15, Method and Theory in the Study of Religion. That is where this paper, the research article, was published. Now, she directly takes that scholar's words. You can compare. Here is where the original source is. Now, do you see, Josiah ordered a thorough purification of the cult, abolishing from the temple and throughout his little kingdom all deviant forms of religion. Now, she removes this all deviant forms of religion and adds over there all forms of polytheism from the Jewish religion. This is that she takes the original words from a particular person and makes little bit of rearrangement, and she adds her own words. Now, in this case, she removed all forms of all deviant forms of religion, and she included her own words, that is, all forms of polytheism from the Jewish religion. Now, you compare the blue letters with the source that I have given. Now, here is you can pause the video and check both of them. Here is a clear evidence of plagiarism, word to word, verbatim statements that she has taken from the scholar A.J. Dhanraj, and she never bothers to give credit. She never bothers to acknowledge the scholar. That is plagiarism. It is a fraud in the academics. We consider it fraud. It's a fraudulent practice. Now, going ahead to the third one, the third plagiarism. At the timeline 10 minutes 54 seconds, she talks about various sources.
Our first source is the Church Fathers. Church Fathers are divided into two categories. The first is the Ante-Nicene Fathers. The second is Nicene and Post-Nicene Fathers. Our second source is Catholic Encyclopedia. The Catholic Encyclopedia, which happens to be the American spokesperson for Christianity. Our third source that we are going to look at in this video is the Encyclopedia Biblica. The Encyclopedia Biblica is a 4-volume critical dictionary of the literary, political, and religious history, archaeology, geography, and natural history of the Bible. It was first printed in 1899.
Now, as we have seen that she quoted three sources. That is, the first source is the church fathers. Church fathers are divided into categories. The first is the Ante-Nicene Fathers, and the second is the Nicene and Post-Nicene Fathers. The second source is Catholic Encyclopedia. The third source is the Encyclopedia Biblica. When she talks about Catholic Encyclopedia, she uses a word that is Catholic Encyclopedia, which is the American spokesperson for Christianity. Now, the point here is that when you look at this video, a person generally assumes that, oh, had she read all these volumes? She must be a scholar then. She must be knowing about Christianity to a great extent. That is the impression she is creating. Actually, this whole exact sequence you will find in a book which I have quoted earlier, that is Forgery in Christianity, again on page number 16. You look at this. You look at the screen and you can see volumes of the fathers of the church, and it's the most accredited modern American spokesperson, the Catholic Encyclopedia. You see the exact expression she used for Catholic Encyclopedia, and look at the sequence: the Ante-Nicene Fathers, the Nicene and Post-Nicene Fathers, the Catholic Encyclopedia, and the Encyclopedia Biblica. Now you see the sequence. When you see this sequence and Esther Dhanraj's sequence, it is identical, and there is no doubt at all that she has taken this whole sequence from this author's book, Forgery in Christianity. Now, don't you think she should be giving credit to that author? She robs that person's words and the sequence, but she doesn't bother to give reference. She doesn't bother to acknowledge the author. According to so and so author, these are the line or the chain of references from which he quoted. She doesn't bother to acknowledge the author. This is another plagiarism case. You quote from the author, you rob the sequence, and you rob even the expressions, but you don't give the credit. Moving on to another case of plagiarism in her video.
But that is not the worst part. The most colossal blunder that the Greek-speaking Septuagint translators made is a mistranslation of the Hebrew text found in a book called Isaiah in chapter 7 verse 14.
Now look at the exact expression from the book Forgery in Christianity. From this author she quotes. Look at the highlighted verses. Now you can compare the blue letters, which are the whole transcript. The blue letters, you can compare it with the original author and see, here is a clear evidence. The author says the most colossal of the blunders of the Septuagint translators and false translation. Here, instead of false translation, which original author wrote it, she changes that false translation to mistranslation. You see, that's plagiarism again. Now, a timeline, as you move ahead, not many minutes later, a timeline 24 minutes 24 seconds, she says this.
The word used in this verse by the original Hebrew writers was Alma. Alma means a young woman of marriageable age, whether married or not, whether a virgin or has had sexual experience.
The original author says Alma means simply a young woman, a marriageable age, whether married or not, or a virgin or not. So towards the end of the sentence, whether married or not, or a virgin or not, she changes it into whether a virgin or has had sexual relations. Exact statement. That is plagiarism again. Now, moving ahead, another account of plagiarism. That is at a timeline. In her video, the timeline is 26 minutes 14 seconds. At 26 minutes 14 seconds, this is what she says.
But the slip did not matter at the time. For in context, Isaiah's prophecy had been given as a reassurance to King Ahaz of Judah that his royal line would survive despite the ongoing siege of Jerusalem by the Syrians. The prophecy had nothing to do with any virgin or her conception or the Messiah of the world or events in Bethlehem 800 years into the future.
You compare this entire paragraph with from the book In His Name by Christopher Rees, volume 5. Exact expression, exact words, the whole paragraph she robs from that author and presents it as her own. Look at, you can read it from the author I have given here. He says, for in context, Isaiah's prophecy is set in the 8th century BCE and probably written in the 5th, has been given a reassurance to King Ahaz of Judah that his royal line will survive despite the ongoing siege of Jerusalem by the barbarian Syrians. Now here, author uses barbarian Syrians. She omits barbarians and simply asserts Syrians. Now, the prophecy has nothing to do with events in Judea. That's what the author said. But she includes any virgin or conception or the Messiah of the world or events. Instead of Judea, she uses Bethlehem, means inserts her own version, Bethlehem, 800 years into the future. Now here you see a clear account of plagiarism. You directly rob from Christopher Rees. The name of the book is In His Name, volume number 5. Okay, this is again a plagiarism. So moving ahead, how many more? Let's see how many more. At timeline 32 minutes 15 seconds. This is what she says.
He furnishes abundant materials for controversy. Augustine concludes that the instances of untruthfulness in the Bible are not to be considered lies, as they present a metaphorical meaning and are therefore rather considered as allegories.
Now, where did she take this statement from? Let me tell you where did she take this statement. This is from a research article, Augustine on Lying, a theoretical framework for the study of types of falsehood by Remo Gramigna. That is the research article. So it was published in the Department of Semiotics, University of Tartu. So here is the reference I am providing. Now this is what he said in the article. Now you can see it and compare the blue letters with the given blue letters with the highlighted original source. Now, do you find, is it coincidence that all these accounts that you see, is it coincidence that she happens to be speaking the similar lines that other people spoke? I don't think so. This is a clear evidence of plagiarism, which is fraudulent. This is fraudulent. Now we come to something else here. Now these all are the accounts of plagiarism. Now we come to something called putting words in the mouths of the scholar. A timeline. You can watch her video. 9 minutes 1 second. She says it was pointed out. This is what she says. You can watch her clip.
It was pointed out by Wilhelm Martin de Wet, one of the founding fathers of biblical criticism and theologians back in 1805, that firstly, the entire so-called Book of Law was written and planted by Hilkiah the chief priest, and secondly, the myth of its sudden mysterious discovery, yes, that's what he called it, the myth of its sudden mysterious discovery in the temple was made up by his son, the biblical prophet Jeremiah. By de Wet's assertion, the first is a forgery and the second is a fraud. This book was what makes up the book of Deuteronomy in the Old Testament, either in part or whole.
Now, you watched her saying that it was pointed out by Wilhelm Martin de Wet, one of the founding fathers of biblical criticism and theologians back in 1805. As she was saying these words, you see the quotation that appears in the video. Now, any person, a person like me, would expect the words of Wilhelm Martin de Wet. Obviously, a scholar, okay, I am hoping to read that scholar's words, but watch it again. Do these words seem to you from the words of William Martin de Wet? No. Now this portion she takes from Bible.org, an article written by David Malik, and the name of the article is The Book of Josiah's Reform. Now in this quotation, what she was trying to assert was the book of Deuteronomy at the time of Josiah was planted by Hilkiah, because Hilkiah is the one who found the book of the law. Now what she says is that this book of law was planted by Hilkiah, and Wilhelm Martin de Wet is the one who said it, who asserted, who noted this point, that it is Hilkiah who planted this book. This is what Wilhelm Martin de Wet said. We cannot know when and how this book came into the temple. Of course, it is possible that the priest Hilkiah had planted it. This opinion certainly has much at present to be said for itself. The whole manner in which the book is introduced resembles a contrived affair in which, besides Hilkiah, Shaphan in particular and the prophetess Huldah could have had a part. Still, I am far from willing to elevate this conjecture to certainty. Indeed, by doing so, I would overstep the laws of history. Whether the book may have come from, wherever the book may have come from, history has drawn a curtain over it, and it would be a mistake to wish to draw the curtain back. Now, Wilhelm de Wet says that, observe the words in his statement, it is possible, we cannot know, the opinion, could have, the word could. Most important, what Wilhelm de Wet says is that still I am far from willing to elevate this conjuncture to certainty. That is, I don't know. This is just a conjecture, and I am not pushing it or elevating this conjecture to certainty. Means certainly I don't know. This is just my opinion. But Esther Dhanraj says that it is Dewitt who pointed out it is Hilkiah who planted the book in the temple. Now, when the scholar says, I am not certain, this is just an opinion, and I cannot elevate my conjecture to certainty. Now, the scholar she is quoting is uncertain, but she seems to be certain. And she puts the words in the mouth of the scholar, saying that he is certain, that is, Dewitt is certain, as if Dewitt, the Wilhelm Martin Dewitt was there watching Hilkiah planting, or Esther Dhanraj was there seeing Hilkiah planting the book. The scholar says, I don't know, it is my opinion, and I cannot elevate my conjecture to certainty. Certainly I don't know. But she puts that certainty in the mouth of the scholar. That is again plagiarism and misrepresentation of a scholar. This is not how you should be doing in the academics. Okay, so moving on to another case. At timeline 41 minutes 58 seconds, she quotes another scholar, and that scholar is Konstantin von Tischendorf.
To sum this all up, I would like to quote the world-leading German biblical scholar Konstantin von Tischendorf of the 19th century. He is credited with the discovery of the oldest manuscript of the Bible compiled in the 4th century called Codex Sinaiticus. Tischendorf said this about the New Testament: the New Testament has been altered in many places and is not to be accepted as true.
Now, he is famously known for finding the copy of Sinaiticus. Now, quoting him, she says it is the Konstantin von Tischendorf. He said the New Testament has been altered in many places and is not to be accepted as true. Did she referred to the particular reference from which book she is quoting, or the reference or the page number or the article did she provide? No, neither she provides the reference for Wilhelm Dewitt, nor she provides references for Konstantin von Tischendorf. Now, I will quote Konstantin von Tischendorf. This is what he said. He was narrating the story. I am quoting this from his own writing, that is, when were our Gospels written? An argument by Konstantin Tischendorf with a narrative of the discovery of the Sinaitic manuscript, New York, American Tract Society, 1866. From that, I have also given the web link here. You can check it out, and I will provide this web link even in the description. Towards the end of the narrative, this is what he said. But that which I think more highly of than all these flattering distinctions is the fact that Providence has given to our age, in which attacks on Christianity are so common, the Sinaitic Bible to be to us a full and clear light as to what is the real text of God's word written, and to assist us in defending the truth by establishing its authentic form. That is, what is he saying? The Sinaitic Bible that I found, it will help us to defend against all those criticisms against God's word. and providence has provided this great opportunity to defend the God's word in its original text, the real text of God's word. Here, the author is saying, I am defending God's word. She says that he, Constantine von Tischendorf, said that New Testament cannot be trusted. Don't you see? This is a lie. She is deliberately putting words into the mouth of the scholar. Well, I have given my sources. I am giving everything that I am saying. I am substantiating all these things with proofs and the sources. This is what is expected in academics. This is what expected from a scholar. Okay, so this is what I have noticed. So this is in front of you now. You be the judge. In my second video that I will be coming up, I will be answering her questions. Though she committed plagiarism, though she put words in the mouths of the scholars, misread them, misinterpreted them, but I will still answer her questions, because I think questions demand an answer. Though she committed fraud and plagiarism, but I will still respect her and I will answer her questions. So till then, look forward for my part 2 video. God bless you.